What's going on, everybody? I've recently just taken this plunge into the resin kaiju kits world, and there's still so much for me to have to learn, but I have learned a lot within the last year and a half. Every time I make a post on Instagram or a video on YouTube, I get a whole bunch of questions about these kits, where to find them, who makes them, what they're made of, how to build them, what do commissions go for, and just everything kind of under the sun. And there really are so many companies that do resin kits, and there's more and more they seem to be popping up every day, or every time there's a new Godzilla movie, there's a whole new bunch of takes on the new character. And there really is a little bit of everything for everybody in the world of kaiju kits. You'll see so many original artistic interpretations of Godzilla and the other monsters. You'll get those twisted, nightmarish takes on Godzilla. You'll also get those very screen-accurate sculpts that look like they stepped right out of a movie, because resin holds a lot more detail than vinyl or plastic or anything that we all would find in a store. You'll find kits for monsters that are kind of more under the radar, that don't really have the merchandise campaign that a lot of the more famous monsters do. So I kind of wanted to put together a list of some of the ones that currently, right now, today, hold my eye as far as the top 10 of the ones that I would be going after. This list is kind of always ever-changing, but we're going to start off with some honorable mentions. The first is this grand centerpiece from Kaiju Freaks. This is the Rodan 1956 diorama. As you can see, it's not just a model kit and a fantastic sculpt of Rodan, mind you, but you get this entire building. It's almost like a construction job. There's just so much detail and work that goes into this that it's a little overwhelming for me, which is why it's not actually something that I want on my list. But the craftsmanship is top notch, and to have this thing displayed, I don't think you could ever really one up this. Next, we're going to go into more of a diorama. This is the Tis Facto Godzilla 2004 Godzilla vs. Zilla diorama, and for Zilla, who has kind of like a cult following against the classic Godzilla, I really think this would really appeal to a lot of people. It's a really cool sculpt, a very dynamic pose. I think it definitely demands your attention. I think it would also look great on a shelf. After that, this is the Monster Rage Rodan 2019. There's been a lot of Rodan merchandise from the MonsterVerse films, and I don't think anything has the presence that this thing has. Rodan doesn't really benefit in figure form because it doesn't have the gravitas that he does in the movie with the CGI and the fire and the flames. But they've managed to capture that here. They've really given, through the paint job and the base, the interpretation that Rodan is kind of like this Phoenix Force figure, and it's heads and shoulders above everything else that I've seen. Now these next two, if you follow my channel, you'll be no stranger to. They still get honorable mentions because had I not had them, these two, this guy, the Tis Facto Godzilla Evolution 2, and the Nirasawa Godzilla 2004 concept, both also by Tis Facto, they would both be tops on my list. So just to make that clear, I do own the two top pieces that I currently would want. And so to start the top 10, we're going to come from a nostalgic place for me. This is the first stylized Godzilla resin kit that I came across, and it was in a modeling book from Japan. It was all in Japanese. I had no idea how to order it. I was a kid. Godzilla vs. Destroyer had just came out, so I really thought this whole concept was really cool. I wanted it very bad. I just had no idea how to get it. And still, all these years later, it's still very hard to come by. I never see it go for sale, and although it doesn't look as impressive as some of these other pieces nowadays, I still have a soft spot for it. Number 9 is going to be another piece from Monster Rage, just like that Rodan. This is actually their take on King Caesar, one of my favorite monsters from the Showa era. And like a lot of their other pieces, it's a very stylized take on the monster. In some cases, it's almost too stylized. I don't know if I really like the horns on the head, and the kind of like the rat ears compared to what King Caesar had in the movie. But still, there's something about this piece that really is engaging to me. I still think it would be an awesome piece to have in the collection. Whether it's King Caesar to you or not, it's a really neat design, really meticulously detailed, and again, I really think it's an attention grabber piece. And yeah, I mean, if the opportunity came for me to add this to my collection, which I don't think they do kaiju kits anymore, so at this point there's probably a very slim chance of that, but I would definitely accept this piece in a heartbeat. With number 8, we're going to bring in one of the most popular iterations of Godzilla out there. We're looking at Shin Godzilla, and this is the Shinjin Wonderfest 2017 kit, which probably makes this very hard to find as well, as most of the Wonderfest kits I believe are, but I could be wrong. Shin Godzilla is extremely popular, and this pose is wonderfully done. It's from an iconic scene in the movie, probably the most famous scene in Godzilla movies in recent years. And if you could really do a great paint job to this, you really take a look at what this looks like. I found these pictures on Twitter. If you could add this kind of paint job to this sculpt, it looks like perfection. Like, it completely it elevates this to a whole nother level. It almost looks like it's straight out of the movie. And yeah, so because of artists like this, I really appreciate this piece even more. Now for number 7, this list has had a lot of love for Rodan, and it isn't quite done yet. I love Rodan 1956. I think he looks so regal and just noble. And this piece by Monster Maker really encompasses all that. These are pictures from my good friend David Dopko. He has this piece, and first of all, he has an incredible collection, but this thing stands out amongst such a collection, and you will see what I'm talking about in a second. Really perfectly captured the sculpt of this suit, and again, I don't think, as much as I love the 2019 design, Rodan 1956 will always kind of be my favorite, just by a little smidge. And here you can see just how this piece really just demands his own platform. Really, really cool piece. Probably really hard to come by as well, especially when something looks as good as this thing does. You're not going to come across this too often. So if I come across this and I just happen to have the funds for it, I will jump on this in a second. For number 6, you've seen a lot of Rodan. You're also going to see quite a bit of T Factor on here. This is one of the original kits I fell in love with. This is the Godzilla Evolution 1. I have Godzilla Evolution 2. This is the original one, and it's also, as you can see, it really set the bar for a very stylized and aggressive take on Godzilla. You know, I didn't have resin kit money when this thing came out. I was younger. I didn't really have the funds for it, but this is something that I would love to own one day. And you can see what different artists have done with different color schemes, and just how much the change in the appearance looks with every artistic take to it. The thing with this kit is, from certain angles it looks amazing, from others it kind of really doesn't hold up as well. So I am a little more lukewarm on him now than I used to be, but I think because I loved it for so long, I would still really like to own this piece. Number 5 is probably the most recent release of any of these kits. This is the KOC Godzilla 1955. I mean, this is perfection. This really is. And KOC's been doing amazing work recently. They just released a 1962, a 1964, and a 1999. And the 1962 and the 1964 could have easily been on this list for me. But you don't get a lot of 1955s. So this really stands tall on his own. It comes with the 2 heads like the other pieces do. And I really think having the one head that's kind of like looking to his left, right, with this one right here, I really like that. I think that's a great look. It's very iconic for this suit with the broad shoulders. Hands down, want this one. Number 4, another newer release. This is the Godzilla 1984 poster version from Tanaka Studios. Really amazing piece, also very hard to find, and it's based on the much beloved Orai poster from Godzilla 1984. As you can see here, you see what they're going for with the sculpt and the colors. Just fabulous, really amazing piece. It looks like a very high-end statue, exactly what you're hoping to get from the detail in these sculpts. This is why people prefer these over like the vinyl figures like X Plus and everything like that. You pay for more, but you're getting a lot more detail packed out of them. This thing is incredible. I love the poster version of Godzilla 1984. I prefer it to the suit. I don't own any of the poster version figures of Godzilla 1984. I'm hoping I get my hands on something like this. I know that's going to be very difficult. Maybe X Plus will take a swing at it, but I know it's going to lose some detail in the long run if it goes to a vinyl form. But I mean, what's not to love about this piece? It's also one of the more popular stylized illustrations of Godzilla out there. Number 3, time to show some love to some of the villains. How about Space Godzilla? He's always been one of my favorites, and this sculpt by Tis Facto really exemplifies the character of Space Godzilla, the evilness. You just can't really do better than Tis Facto did here in capturing the animalistic violence that this character has. A very intelligent monster as well, very regal. So I think all this is definitely well represented here. It's an extremely hard kit to come by. I don't really see it for sale. I've never even really seen it built up and painted, other than like these pictures here from Google and the website. So if I come across this and I have an opportunity to get this, I'm definitely going to take it. Must have, in my opinion. And number 2, sticking with iconic villains, we are looking at another Monster Rage. This is their take on the classic Godzilla foe, King Ghidorah. It's such an imposing piece, haunting design. I love everything about it. I love what Godzilla Art Center did with their piece here. This paint job is top-notch work, really quality stuff, and you can see just how much it brings out the detail of this piece. Monster Rage was selling their prototype. It cost about a couple grand to buy the prototype, and then it was going to be like another couple grand between shipping it and import fees. So for the price this piece was demanding, I felt kind of irresponsible. Like I felt like there's other things that I should be doing with my money. But I would love to have this piece. And also, I didn't really want it built already. I kind of wanted to do it myself and customize it from the ground up. And because of that, I probably lost out on maybe forever owning this piece. But these pictures, they kind of help fill that void a tiny little bit, like a smidge. Not really. I still want it. But yeah, wonderful piece. Now, number 1, my most highly desired kit is the Go-Ro 50 centimeters Godzilla 1989. I tend to be a stickler. I like to not really have things that are bigger than like 35 to 40 centimeters tall, and those are like my centerpiece pieces. But for this guy, I would definitely make the exception. Just phenomenal sculpt. Kind of is very much screen accurate, but it just slightly plays and dips into the stylized sculpt to just bring out the hyper aggression that we were talking about with some of the other kits that I like. This is a piece shown off by Tatash Toys. He's had one built for him, and you could kind of see what this looks like with a traditional Godzilla paint job. I probably would do things slightly different. I think a lighter paint job, maybe more of a light gray paint job, would look really cool on this, but I don't know. This looks perfect. Like if I had an opportunity to even get this piece right here, I would probably be willing to do whatever it takes to bring him home. Yeah, this is right now at this moment my number 1 coveted piece. Ask me again next year, maybe I'll do another video, maybe things will be a little different, but for now, I would consider this my grail. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Peace.